I accidentally entered Alice in Wonderland. What awaited me, however, were the rules of a nightmare. Players who violate the rules will become the red plasma painting the white roses. Plum 2. Cookies and potion mushrooms are poisonous. Please use with caution. Heart 3. Hat is the Mad Hatter's rarest item. Do not touch lightly. Spade 6. Mr. White Rabbit's pocket watch is faster than real time. Red Star 10. Do not let others see you. Above are your rules by Alice's Nightmare. Welcome to your arrival. Good luck. Player agrees. I stared at the poker card with bizarre rules that appeared in my hand at some unknown time and fell into deep thought. 5 minutes ago, I was still sitting in the cinema chair, quietly waiting for the Alice in Wonderland movie's Easter egg. I watched this animation when I was a child. Accidentally got a free movie ticket while shopping at the mall. So I came to revisit the classic. After the movie ended, when I wanted to leave like most of the audience, the cinema staff stopped at the exit, suggesting we watch the surprise Easter egg before leaving. Was it a memory error? Because, in my impression, there were no Easter eggs at the end of the movie. Until the staff roll ended, the big screen suddenly went dark. All the lights in the engine of the screen went out at the same time. The next second, a bloody red-eyed rabbit suddenly appeared on the screen. Accompanied by the screams of the audience, the terrifying giant rabbit crawled out from the two-dimensional screen, opened its mouth wide, and swallowed everyone. When I opened my eyes again, I and the other audience members arrived in this strange world together. The mysterious forest. The white rabbit in a suit was very similar to the scene in the movie. It's been a whole week since I last entered the bizarre and absurd fairy tale world. I thought it was just a foreboding dream. But the card with bizarre rules in my hand seems to tell me this might just be the beginning. The white rabbit, standing in the center of the crowd, glanced at the pocket watch on his chest, cleared his throat and said, "Welcome to Alice's Nightmare, the first hurdle of breaking up the broken pocket watch." As the white rabbit's voice fell, everyone suddenly had the same pocket watch in their hands. Adjust the time to the exact position and press the button above the pocket watch to submit the answer. I got closer and clearly saw the time on the pocket watch on his chest. It shows a fixed moment that never advances, 20.27. I lowered my head and looked at the rules again. The only useful information is the 6th. Mr. White Rabbit's pocket watch is faster than real time, but how can I know how much faster it is? There are 13 points in the poker, and I only got 4 scattered cards. The other half of this question's clue should be on the other cards I didn't get. This is a game that requires cooperation. Just as I was about to look for teammates among the people around me, the man standing in front of me suddenly exploded. The red liquid spattered onto my card. At the same time, explosions started happening in various places in the crowd. The white rabbit was holding a paint bucket, collecting plasma while saying, "Remind everyone that once the answer is submitted, it cannot be changed. Please cherish your only opportunity." Seeing this scene, the rest of the people were scared and stood still. Dare not try easily. I glanced at the man in front who submitted the wrong answer. His cards and pocket watch have disappeared. I can't get any extra information. There is also a man and a woman nearby. I remember they didn't even adjust the time on the pocket watch and were declared a failure. That means the reason of death is not the wrong answer. You must not let others see your rules. They are very likely to have seen each other's cards without knowing this rule. But if you can't see the rules of others in person, then exchanging information adds a layer of risk. You can't be sure if the other person is lying. Human nature in this game that concerns life and can't stand the test. I turned around, locked eyes with a short-haired girl diagonally behind. From the beginning of the game, her gaze stayed on me as if it were not. "Do you want to exchange information?" I walked straight towards her, straightforwardly opened the number side of the card. There was a surprise on her face and then also immediately showed the rules. Back like me. My number is 236, her number is 479. I pulled out the spade 6 that she didn't have. This rule explains the relationship between the speed of the white rabbit's pocket watch and real time. She took out heart 4. This is my rule. Gave the specific time difference between the white rabbit's pocket watch and real time. Knowing the time of the pocket watch and knowing the time difference and the relationship of speed, the correct answer is obviously available. But if the other party deliberately lies, right and wrong is just a thought away. There are still losers falling down around. Some are because of the information gap and violated an unknown rule, and some were deceived by the lies of other players. The short-haired girl obviously has the same worries as I do, did not speak the specific value for a long time. There are already 4 players who have passed the first round of test. Please hurry up. The White Rabbit mechanically broadcasts the progress of the level, carrying a half-full bucket, muttering to himself, "The red paint prepared for the Red Queen is not collected enough." Exchange pocket watches and submit the same answer at the same time. I clenched the pocket watch in my hand and put it in front of her, each holding the other's answer card. This is the method I can think of that is least likely to play tricks. But she shook her head and refused, shaking the plum 9 I didn't have. The rule says you can't take other players' props. You should have seen it too. Just now someone wanted to steal someone else's card and was immediately judged to be in violation. I stared intently into her eyes, trying to determine if she was lying. She swore solemnly, "You can't take other people's props. But the reason I propose this is because I've seen a successful player who had exchanged pocket watches with a teammate. Could she be lying to me?" I glanced at the various suits of cards in my hand, and then looked around. Countless losers. I had an idea in my heart that needed verification. I took out the heart 10, pointing at her spade 10. I said, "Cooperate with me, 321. We say at the same time what is written in the rules." She hesitated for a moment, nodded and agreed. 321. You must never voluntarily look at other people's rules. You must not let others see your rules. I finally understand that it's the rules that are lying. I pointed to a player who is out and lied on the ground. I have observed the situation around people. He and his teammate exchanged pocket watches. Both of them were safe. But then he did something superfluous. He showed the rules to the other party, so he was out, and his teammate was fine. The person who has seen the rules out, while the person who sees other people's cards is not in violation. This shows that the correct rule is that heart 10 must not let others see. Your rules decors represent different true and false attributes. Heart is correct, spade is wrong, and plum is half true and half false. You just said that the plum 9 is that you can't take other players' props, and the real rule should be that you can't take other people's cards. Other props like pocket watches are not restricted. Most people never doubted the authenticity of the rules from the beginning. Even if they found a sincere teammate, they will still fall into the trap of the rule maker. So there were so many seemingly reckless sacrifices at the beginning of the game. I actively stuffed the pocket watch into the short-haired girl's hand. Sure enough, it was safe. She also gave me her pocket watch. Heart 4? Mr. White Rabbit's pocket watch is 21 minutes different from real time. Spade 6. Mr. White Rabbit's pocket watch is faster than real time. We told each other the specific content of the rules. According to the reasoning just now, the spade rule is wrong, so the real rule 6 should be reversed. Knowing the watch time 20.27, 21 minutes slower than real time, the correct answer is 20 minutes and 48 minutes. She and I turned the pointer and rest the button at the same time. The next second, everything in front of me turned pitch black, and I was rapidly falling in a bottomless hole. After a bout of dizziness, I fell from the rabbit hole into a small wooden house, along with other people who had also passed the level. The short-haired girl was among them. Including me, there were a total of 8 people. I held my head, which had hit the floor, and used the wall to support myself as I dizzily got up. This was a very ordinary-looking small wooden house. The hole that had transported us here had disappeared. The only furniture in the room was a wooden round table. On the table was a stack of biscuits with a card in the middle that said, "Eat me." Next to the biscuits was a bottle of deep purple liquid, with a card hanging from the bottle that said, "Drink me." The details of the room perfectly resembled the original story. The only difference was that there was a small hole in the house in the movie that Alice could freely enter and exit after shrinking, while the door of this room was of normal size and was locked. Congratulations on entering the second level Biscuits and Potion. a floating Cheshire cat with green eyes suddenly appeared in the air. Its mouth was curved into an exaggerated arc, revealing a weird smile. In the last level, 2 players were the first to pass at the same time, winning a game reward, 2 giant heart cards. I followed the gaze of the Cheshire Cat to see a man wearing glasses and a blonde girl in a Lolita dress. They had teamed up in the first level. After receiving the cards, the 2 of them looked at each other without saying a word. Could the red heart cards behind be a new unknown rule? No one acted rashly, except for a man with a long scar on his left eye who stepped forward and kicked the wooden door hard, but the door didn't budge. The short-haired girl who cooperated with me in the first round broke the silence. Everyone should not be entering this kind of rule game for the first time, right? I suggest we exchange information. This round does not limit the number of people who pass. As long as the door opens, everyone can go out. So they had all experienced similar rules. The mystery game was not only for me. If last time's Fairy Tale World was my single-player game, this time it should be multiplayer. I can share first. The short-haired girl took out the heart 7 from her hand. The rule 7 said, "The crow is like a writing desk." Although I didn't understand the use of this sentence. The awkward part was, after she shared, no one else seemed willing to share next. In this death game, holding another person's unknown rule could also be seen as a kind of chip and insurance. Only an old lady with silver hair and wearing reading glasses took out the heart 8 card and leisurely said, "The Cheshire Cat trusts children and hates adults. I think we can make a breakthrough from here." All eyes turned to the corner, the only mixed-race little boy in the room. The atmosphere in the room became tense, as everyone began to consider their next steps in this complex game of rules and survival. He had a head of brown curly hair and looked to be only about 11 or 12 years old. The young boy seemed to understand everyone's expectations. He nodded obediently, stretched out his hands towards the Cheshire Cat, and flashed an innocent child's smile. "Dear Kitty, please tell me how to get out of here." The rules of the Red Star card were correct. The Cheshire Cat's eyes indeed lit up and nestled in the boy's arms comfortably, turning over. The door couldn't be forcibly opened, it could only be unlocked with a key. Other than a table, there was no other furniture in the small wooden cabin. There was no sign of the key anywhere in sight. I picked up the dark purple potion bottle and shook it a few times, but there was nothing inside it either. The boy continued to ask, "So where is the key?" The Cheshire Cat nervously darted its green eyes around, maintaining a peculiar smile. I accidentally swallowed it. Everyone exchanged glances. Suddenly, the boy grabbed the cat's tail and mercilessly turned it upside down, shaking it wildly. "Ow! Help!" The cat howled. "You're doing it wrong. You won't get the key this way." The furiously shaken Cheshire Cat grinned and pleaded, letting out a sharp, piercing cry. But aside from some unpleasant sour water, nothing came out. Lolita, who had won the red heart card in the first round, spoke up for the first time. The rules mentioned cookies and potions. Isn't that the key to solving the problem? Upon hearing her, the boy let go. The Cheshire Cat, looking lost, retreated to a corner, curling up in a ball. Everyone turned their eyes to the cookies and potions on the table. In the recent movie we watched, after Alice ate the cookies, her body grew larger, and drinking the potion made her smaller. Drinking the potion would shrink one's body to enter the Cheshire Cat and retrieve the key, and then eating the cookies would restore one's original size. But the cookies and potion are poisonous. Who's going to eat them? The scarred man spoke with a tone filled with aggression. The old woman holding the spade too was puzzled. "Children, it clearly says here that the cookies are poisonous, but the potion is not." A chubby boy, who looked like a junior high student, scratched his head. "It's all fake. None of it is actually poisonous." The scarred man sneered. "If it's not poisonous, why don't you go ahead and eat them?" The chubby boy muttered, "Could it be that these people were just lucky enough to have received the correct rules in the first round?" I was about to interrupt and announce the true rules of the cards when the man with glasses holding the red heart stood up. "Everyone, stop arguing. No one is lying. The rules are misleading us. Let me share what's written on the red heart. Different decors have different truth properties. Hearts are correct, spades are wrong, and plums and squares are half true, half false. So the rule on the heart too is correct. The cookies are not poisonous, but the potion is. If we need to shrink in size to enter the Cheshire Cat and get the key, we must drink the potion, but the potion is poisonous. The discussion reached another impasse. But think carefully about this. The rule only says the potion is poisonous. It doesn't say that poisoning is fatal. It might just be like eating a bad mushroom. The man with glasses proposed a possibility, but no one was willing to try. After all, no one knew what would happen after being poisoned. After a long silence, he spoke again. Let's decide by playing rock, paper, scissors. Someone has to take this risk, or we'll all be stuck here. This is the fairest method we can think of right now. That's all for the first part of the story. Please kindly stay tuned for the second part, same time tomorrow. Thanks for listening.